Welcome friends, I am Amit Tripathi, your host today. Welcome to this next video of Mineral Exploration Academy. Today we'll be discussing what a good jurisdiction would look like and what would encourage exploration industry to come and invest in a new jurisdiction. Today our guest is Mr. Gregory Beischer. He is the CEO of Millrock Resources that operates in Alaska. Gregory has spent a lifetime doing exploration in different jurisdictions of North America, different Canadian states and different states of United States. And he has a very long experience of working in excellent mining jurisdictions and is well known in exploration industry circles. Welcome, Greg. In different jurisdiction, laws changes, government policy changes. Sometimes the governments become progressively more mining friendly. Suddenly realize some smart senior functionary in the government advises the boss that you know Canada is making so much money out of these prospectors who are investing money but not getting anything in return. That does sound like a very good business opportunity for us. So,
Right.
such opportunities do come up just because of jurisdictional change. Not many North American companies are open to actually moving outside North America. So even if there is a major jurisdictional change elsewhere,
Yeah.
recently, as an example, I spent last about 1.5 years in Morocco, and just a year back, that's about 2 years back, they have actually revised their mining legislation and suddenly become extremely friendly to exploration and mining. Is that how far away from let's say North America would you venture in search of such opportunities?
I can tell you, well, we have seen a jurisdictional change in America over the last 3.5 years. It seems like the prior governments were against mining. They didn't want to see mining. They didn't come out and say that, but they made the regulatory environment stifling, I would say. So many rules and regulations that I don't think they were designed to protect the environment. They were designed to slow down and stifle the resource extraction industries. The current government of the United States has sought to reduce that red tape, I would call it, that stifling, make things more effective, and have at least the attitude that if your project is responsible, that you show that you're going to be protective of environment and the society, that you'll be given the chance to make your case and get your permission to build the mine. So we have seen a jurisdictional shift in that regard with the change in government. And I imagine in other places in the world, I know you've been to many, many more jurisdictions than me, but it seems to me that jurisdictional changes in third world countries can be far more abrupt than they might be in a first world countries like Australia or Canada or the United States. But yeah, they can have profound effects, I would think, on mineral developments.
I have also observed that it's the initial speculators or the existing players in these, let's say, second world or third world jurisdictions that start learning this kind of exploration philosophy that you have been propounding, is to secure large areas and be like a generator. And the Canadian and Australian stock market backed companies show up a little while later, and so they have to obviously have to make a joint venture deal with these people who already are holding the ground. And this appears like your business model as well. I mean, the generative work, although through a different philosophy. So again, my question would still remain the same. Would a generative company like yours or other companies venture outside North America, or would they be? How would they be persuaded to venture outside North America?
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Like for example, in Alaska and all Canadian jurisdictions and Australia, and lots of others, it's fairly easy and inexpensive to obtain the mineral rights. Like, for example, here in Alaska, if we want to claim an area that's a quarter mile on a square, it might cost us $300. So the price of entry is very low. In other jurisdictions, and so it's easy. So it's relatively easy for a small company like us to secure the mineral rights and then do the initial stage of exploration. In other places, for example, I know a little bit about Peru. The price of entry is quite high. There's usually a competitive lease sale in order to gain the mineral rights. So that really makes it only accessible to the big mining companies. And so they don't have the same level of small company entrepreneurial prospecting type geologists to the same degree in a country like Peru. I think it's more effective to keep it open and competitive and easily accessible like we have it here.
So, would you think if a jurisdiction is like auctioning the mineral rights, then would it be conducive for development of, let's say, growth of minerals there or mining industry there?
No, I think that stifles exploration. Yeah, I think it makes it tougher to enter, and so tougher for the early stage geologists like us to get into.
So, friends, that was Mr. Gregory Beischer. Greg is a well-known face in the international mineral exploration industry, and he brings out some very good and interesting facts. Many jurisdictions in North America are actually very good mining jurisdictions. These include many Canadian provinces and the American provinces like Nevada, Arizona, and Alaska. These jurisdictions facilitate and help create large and small mines. They facilitate significant large investments in mineral exploration, which is obviously the highest risk end of the mineral value chain. And these investments have added several percentage points to their GDP and, most importantly, created lots of employments in the rural areas. Now, there are many mining companies and exploration companies that take these jurisdictions as their familiar area or zone of comfort and do not want to normally get out of this zone. And these exploration companies working in these jurisdictions would need to be significantly incentivized before they would venture out. The key jurisdictional tool to invite them, as Greg points out very clearly, would be low entry cost. Like Greg told us, in Alaska, for a quarter mile square claim, the entry cost is just $300. This, coupled with security of tenure and a clear pathway to mining permissions, encourages them to take the risk. A clear pathway to mining permissions does not mean that all other environmental or other issues would be put on a back burner. It means that industry knows that these are the boxes to check, these are the standards to meet, and if they meet those standards, the permitting would be granted. Now, these exploration companies work in the highest risk part of the value chain. These are the people who invest in finding deposits. The larger companies are quite happy to buy these de-risk properties from them, or in some cases, de-risk properties by the government departments or geological surveys that use public money. Should public money be invested in such high-risk activities, especially when private companies are willing and able to do so, and much better than public organizations or even big mining companies? These are small private ventures who thrive in the high-risk, high-return end of the mineral value chain. These are pioneers who, if encouraged through proper policy initiatives and regulatory tools, would raise speculative money and invest in de-risking these properties. They need low entry barrier. They need permission to make huge windfall profits, and most importantly, they need permission to fail if their projects do not pan out. Low entry barrier would mean easy permitting for exploration industry with quick and cheap licensing. The explorations company actually typically do not come with deep pockets, but they raise capital as they go. Their regulatory needs are very different from mining industry. Auction of licenses, as Greg says, stifles the exploration industry, and we see private exploration grind to a halt in every jurisdiction that insists on auctions. So Greg offers some decent advice to policymakers, and it comes from a very well-established exploration industry insider who has spent a lifetime working in excellent jurisdictions. Policymakers worldwide would be wise to pay heed to such decent advice. Thank you. Now, this was the first of many interviews that we would be conducting with Greg. Thank you so much. Please do subscribe to the channel so our videos reach you, and please also do comment. Your comments encourage us to keep producing videos on such serious topics, and they also guide us as to what you would like to see in our future videos. Thank you so much.